Hey, so I wanted to make, I wanted to make a couple different videos. Sorry, I just wiped off the edge of my phone. I wanted to make a couple different videos today. First, I was thinking about making a more therapeutic type video, talking about some of my family issues, some of the issues I had growing up with my family. Then I was thinking, because Sargon just made a video about how Islam is right about women, and I wanted to make a video about that. But then I just decided, after thinking about it for a bit, I want to ask. I actually want to make a series of videos talking about the perfected utilitarian system, which is a political system that I created over the course of about 6 or 7 years. And the way that I created it was through study, research, and debate. It is a perfect system, as close to perfection as possible for humans to get. It creates the maximum benefit for the largest number of people, and it minimizes government at the same time. However, the problem is the amount of research necessary to, prove it and necessary to debate it is so immense that I don't think anyone would be able to go over it. I'll leave a tiny portion of my research down in the description of this video. I take information from everywhere, regardless of the bias, although I do note the bias. For example, Stanford behavioral biology from 2011 is taught by Robert Sapolsky, who is an outright communist. And Yale has a psychology course that is taught by a conservative who actually shit talks liberals in the lectures. The thing is, you can ignore little things like that, and you can, if you're smart enough, you can figure out if they are presenting information in a biased way that is meant to support a certain agenda. You can actually figure out what the truth is by paying close attention. For example, like Sapolsky, he goes over different systems of the human body, like the endocrine system, or genetics, or hormones, and that'll be like one lecture. One lecture will be an endocrine system, one lecture will be hormones, one lecture will be the genetics. And but at the end of each lecture, he'll be like, well, does this control the human, does this predict human behavior? No, and here's some counterexamples. But he implies that the human body is not deterministic at all. The human animal is not deterministic whatsoever. However, the problem is that we are very clearly deterministic. It's that all of these systems together actually determine our behavior and our psychology. Yeah, and I do note the biases. You'll see in the description I note the biases when I can find them. Khan Academy has several playlists of information, and I can't seem to find a bias for them. They just seem to present the information and let the information stand. So I don't really mark a bias for them. But there is so much information that went into making the perfected system. But the biggest thing is there are principles and goals that went into making the perfected system. The principles were pragmatism, or usefulness, utilitarianism, which is making providing the maximum benefit for the largest number of people, and minimalism, which means minimal government, minimal violence, minimal crime. the goal was really to achieve those last two things, which are also principles, because minimal government is a principle as well as a goal. But in addition to that, the goal is also to create the best possible place for humans to live, the best possible system for humans to live under, the system that allows for the most growth of not only the individual but of society as a whole. And I've just been thinking about this a lot. There's so much that I would have to explain, though. There's so much research I would have to provide, and so many different arguments I'd have to cover as to how I became convinced of this. But to this day, I can't find anyone who can actually poke a hole or point out a flaw in this system. I can't find any flaws in the system. I didn't, when I started making the system, I was an anarcho-capitalist. Now I hold like anarcho-capitalism or minarcho-libertarianism as an ideal, and I say that that's my ideal. I would love to just have minimal government and have a capitalist system where everyone leaves everyone alone and everyone gets along fine, and it's a hippy-dippy-trippy fucking day, but that's not realistic. So the realistic system is the perfected system, which accounts for everything, and that's what has to be done. You must account for evidence, not ignore evidence, not just decide that the evidence doesn't matter, not just I'm getting a phone call right now. Yeah, you have to account for the evidence. If you don't account for the evidence, your system is doomed to fail. But should I make a video series about that? I'm not sure. Let me know.